Hi TJ, let's talk a little bit about feeling regret. So when you first came to me, we did some slow yoga and meditation, and some of those standing exercises that we did were intentional for grounding. So when you're feeling scattered, that's exactly what you want to do. You want to focus and ground down. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, is the grounding, being in the present moment, and how you can do that when yoga is not available to you right in the moment. But of course, I'm always going to recommend it so that you can ground physically in the earth and ground with the style of yoga that you're practicing and the techniques that I was teaching you. So you're on the right track, slowing down, right? That's what we practiced, and really expressing yourself with your movement. So of course, the fast-paced movement has its place too. So if you're feeling fatigue or unable to feel motivated, that's a great time to incorporate some fast-paced movement. But even if you're doing fast-paced workouts on a regular basis, always make time to slow down, because that's going to really ground you, and it will help you focus your energy and release unwanted emotion and just release your energy. So, that's what I teach. There's so much power in slowing down, and you won't believe how much your body can change physically when you slow down. I've had women that will drop their fast-paced workouts and replace them with these slower workouts, and they're like, I can't believe the weight that I'm losing. And it's because we're moving out of fight or flight, into rest and digest. So when your body's not stressed all the time, weight does fall off and you do start to sleep better. So even I am sleeping more just in the last couple of days. So anyway, here we go. So what I have for you is this technique called reveal, feel, and heal. It's a 3-step technique. Reveal, number 1, feel, and heal. So before we get into that, I'm going to share with you a little story. It's about my son. I have 3 kids, and my middle child, my firstborn son, he went through a phase where he was very easily triggered. And as you can imagine, it wasn't ideal for anyone. And I'm very thankful that he went through this phase, because it's so challenging with children, right? But there's something good that always comes out of it. So for me, I learned this little technique, and I have him to thank for it. So my kids would like to play. They were very, hands-on with their play. And he liked to play with cars and trucks and trains when he was around 7 and 8. And he would play on the floor with his brother or his sister. And when he would get triggered, it would set him off, set all 3 of them off. So very quickly, I started telling him, listen, when you feel that trigger, when you feel really angry in here, in your gut, in your belly, when you start to feel that, whether it's frustration or resentment or blame, someone's blaming him or he's blaming someone else, I said, I don't want to know the details. Just as soon as you feel that way, I want you to stop what you're doing, put your toys down, pull your hands away, don't hit anyone, just stop. Feel that feeling in your belly, get up, and run to our patio door. We had a very heavy patio door. It was one of those floor-to-ceiling windows. We had a very tall, higher ceilings at that time, so I think it was like 10-foot glass door. Anyway, he'd have to really work to get that handle open. Sometimes it's stuck. So he would be sometimes in a room where he couldn't even see the patio door, but he would run through the house, come to the patio door, work hard to open it, pull it open, step out onto the patio, and his directions were to roar as loud as he could, like a lion. And that's exactly what he did. He burst his loudest roar over and over until he fully let all the anger from his belly come bursting out of his body. And then I told him to close the door, go back to your game, go back to your toys, go back to your friends, go back to your brother and sister, whatever you're doing. But I want that to happen every time you feel those emotions come over you. And so that's exactly what he did. And he got so comfortable with it that when his friends came over, he was so used to doing it that that's exactly what he did. But it was their first experience with him. So they're like, what the heck is going on? JR, why did you just put everything down and run to the patio and scream like a lion, roar like a lion? I'm sure the neighbors were like, what's up with that? Them, they're kind of strange, but nah, just kidding. Anyway, so such a beautiful story, I think, because children really don't question, like, what will the neighbors think? Or what will my family think? They're so full of expression, right? So I loved it because when I would see him, the patio door was off the kitchen, and so a lot of times I'm cooking or cleaning or whatever, and I loved it because he was expressing his heart. He's like, I feel angry, and he'd let it out. So anyway, I'm rambling, but the point is, you're going to do this. So you want to identify how you're feeling in your belly. So I'm feeling frustrated. I'm feeling regret which is regret's not so much a feeling. So what is triggering that regret, right? Frustration, anger, guilt, shame, resentment, doubt, fear, scarcity, lack, all of these emotions related to fear and anger. So you're going to identify how you're feeling. That's the reveal. And then you want to feel it. So like my son, he would run to the patio door, roar, and he'd let his body really feel that expression of anger. And then when he was done roaring, he healed it, right? So I know you can't just roar in the middle of work, but maybe you can in your truck when you're driving. You put your window down and roar, right? So something else that you can do is practice that slow breathing, that technique of breathing in through your nose, letting your chest stay still, feeling the belly or the diaphragm move away from your body, holding your top breath, and slowly exhaling through your mouth like you're blowing out those candles, letting those exhales be as long and slow as you can make them. And that's really the key to the breath there. So by changing your breathing, you're changing your entire state of being. So that's generally available almost all the time, right? You can slow down, you can place your hand on your heart. Did you know that when your hand is over your heart, it triggers the same oxytocin release that you get when you hug someone? So the trigger or the trick there is when you're hugging someone, it's got to be, I think it's 6 seconds or longer. So it's that bonding hormone that's released. So if you're not able to hug someone, you can hug yourself with a hand over your heart. So anyway, so that's what I will recommend, is identifying your emotion and feeling that emotion, and then you'll allow your body to heal from that expression. Obviously, the breathing is a wonderful technique, and anytime you can slow down with yoga, meditation, Tai Chi, allowing your mind and your body to focus. You, of course, can be grounding with the earth, grounding with the practice. The practice itself is grounding, even if you're on a yoga mat, because you're really bringing awareness to the placement of your body, and it's a slow, intentional movement. So I hope that makes sense to you, and that's going to help you stay present in the moment because you're focused. You're focused on what you're practicing, okay? So that's your homework. Get started on that and make yourself a priority. So if you notice that you're shifting into those past moments, bring yourself back to right now with the techniques that I just mentioned. And you'll eventually get to a place where you can revisit the past in passing by talking about it right now without bringing emotion into it. So an example might be, you can talk about something that was once painful, but when you don't have emotion attached to it, it's just a fact, right? It's not an emotional experience anymore. So this is a little interesting, since you're so I don't know, you have a lot of intellectual knowledge and experience there. So I know this will be easy for you to identify. So when you talk about past experiences, so now I'm at a place where I can talk about the change in my family dynamics, which was obviously very painful for me for a period of time. Now I can talk about it as, yes, this happened, this was a matter of fact, that happened, this happened, this happened. But the moment I attach emotion or express emotion, then that past is in my present, right? If I start feeling, such guilt or shame, or start sadness, I wish I hadn't done that, and I'm so sad that that even occurred, then all of a sudden my brain doesn't know any better. It's as if it's happening for the very first time. So I'm experiencing it all over again, even though it was 15 years ago, right? So it's, since my brain interprets it that way, it's like the trauma is happening for the very first time in my body right now, because emotions only occur in the now moment, right? So our body doesn't think, oh, that sadness was only back in 2000. Your body doesn't know the difference. Your body's like, hey, she feels sad. She feels sad right now, right? So that's when we're bringing the past into the present, is with our emotion. So that's why it's very important to express that emotion and let it out. And the more you talk about it, and the more you're telling people and justifying it, you're really keeping it, those past things, you're keeping them in the present, because it's just like this non-stop life cycle of what already happened. So I'm a huge believer in not talking about it. I'm not saying don't ignore it, it didn't happen, but identify the emotion and let it go. So for me, talking about things and feeling that, those unwanted emotion, just keeps it alive. And my body just starts to feel it over and over again. And then that makes it so much harder for me to let go, because instead of having one brick to let go of, I now have 10 bricks to let go of, because I've told 10 people and I've justified it. I'm like, well, you don't really know what happened. Like, this is why I feel this way. And my kid went through that, and she went through that, and he went through that. And, it's not helping me. It's not helping my parents. It's not helping my kids. It's not helping anyone. So how I can help all of us is just to say, you know what? This is how I feel. And I don't even tell anyone. I feel it. And then I let it go. And I let it go through a yoga practice, or meditation, or a walk in nature, or listening to music, or dancing. And there are times where I think, I'd really love to share this with someone, or I'd really love to just talk about it so that someone else can know how I feel and justify it. But it's just putting more energy out there, and that energy is not going to just go away. It's just going to transfer to someone else. So I just transmute it myself and let it dissolve right into the ether. And then I say, thank you, Jesus. Thank you for letting that dissolve. I don't need it anymore. It's gone. And that's how I work through it. So I'm more than happy to help you work through these things. Thank you for staying on this long, and you're doing great. So stick with it. It's a process. It doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen. And if you have any more questions, you know where to reach me. All right, so there is purpose in your being here today. Namaste.